Just,
Yeah.
In later FYI, we want to talk about those fixtures because they have the Rome system in it.
Yes.
We want that.
I don't think so.
The ones we have now are not working.
No,
So that saves you a couple of $1,000s a fixture.
right.
It's a control system that allows you from your cell phone to change the lighting levels. It doesn't work.
Oh, nice.
Okay, cool.
Like the SCADA system.
It's exactly like that.
So that was the first one, and then the next one would be capital reserves. So some of these, a lot of these aren't new, but you might want to look at the amount that I'm proposing to put in each of them.
This is increasing reserves.
Notably, yep, increasing reserves, 20,000 more in the Washington Street sidewalk. We know that that project, when it's bid out, it's going to be a lot more expensive than what we have set aside now.
Where is this one?
That is
Does it count?
under capital reserves 30034250.
Let me just skip right to that.
Got it.
41,000 going to carry over to next year, plus the additional 20, so it'll be 61.
Yeah, it's sitting in a reserve account, so that'll be
3003.
our match to the grant with the state. That's another 2080 grant where they're paying 80% of the cost and we pay
Right.
20.
So you're reducing it to 20,000 from
No.
41.
Well, yes, we were hoping that all we would have to put aside is that 41,000, but I think it's going to be much more expensive.
All right.
so.
Okay.
Do you think 20 is enough?
I hope so.
Do we have an estimated start date on that project?
No,
Okay.
we're still doing the right-of-way.
I would increase
Work.
that slightly.
Increase that
I
one.
I don't think 20,000 is enough.
So 41 plus 60,000, which is 20% of the entire, and
20
that's
25 or 30.
30,000?
I would. It's up to you guys, but I think.
You
that
think
would be
that
smart.
our 20% is going to be, is
75,000.
71,000?
Sorry, just quick.
That's an expensive project.
So that means the $700,000
I don't think,
project.
do we have hard bids in the Washington Street sidewalk
We
yet?
don't.
No, don't do
None
it.
at all.
We don't know the budget's real.
So we're better to err on the
point.
side of
A little,
being a
I
little
mean, it's
pad, of
suggested.
padding it and seeing if it
$10,000 is
passes
noise.
muster.
We can
Yeah.
come back to this because we
All right.
also are going to have to
Finish my
talk
coffee
about
yet.
the.
Don't judge my
I
arithmetic
haven't even
skills.
had coffee yet, I'm just jealous of you.
All right, so
Cold, but you can have some if you want.
proposing putting 25 in the snow bowl again, 40,000 in the dams to, and that would be primarily for the Montgomery Dam to kind of make up for the 65 that we spent on the Seabright.
We didn't put
instead.
anything in last year in reserve for that?
How are we going to?
Because we did a bunch of capital projects.
Hold on, how are we going to? We robbed 65
Yep,
and we're going to replace it with 40.
yes.
Going to increase it.
We've already committed, we've already,
Well, I'll go through at the end and you'll see some of the other places where I put aside.
I did see, okay, I saw one other place.
So, and we can, but we
Okay,
can.
all right, I think
star that
I'll
to
probably
come
like
back
where you're
to.
going. Yeah, I'd rather have it in like some other budget, some other name for it than,
Yes.
In reserve.
Yeah. So, I agree. So I've continued to, all the, about 20,000 each in all of the harbor lines that we have. Another 20 in the bridges, 5 in the tree conservation. And then the big ones, 100,000 for the wastewater treatment plant, because I'm hoping that we can start to, instead of everybody feeling the hit in 1 year when we start paying the debt service on this, we're not going to have to make any payments until after the project is done, because that's how the program works with USDA. So, we'll be able to draw down money from that grant loan program, but then you don't have to repay a cent of that until you're finished with the project. So we're looking at maybe 3 years before we have to pay anything. But I think it's good over the next 3 years to start ramping it up so we can get used to
Oh,
the
paying
fact
the
that we're
debt
gonna, yeah,
service.
yeah.
Right, okay.
So 100,000 this year, maybe 200 next year, 300 the year after that. And then we also have some money in the reserve to kind of buffer the hit to taxpayers.
Because this could
It's a
be
lot
as
of
high as 500,000 a year.
Right, it is going to be about that much,
Then it's
When
not
we're
just
paying
a
it in full
nasty
swing,
hit all at
500,000.
once.
right?
If we went to full 14 million over,
Right.
what, 20 years or 30? 30?
It'll be 30-year,
30 years, you're probably talking $450,000 to $500,000 a year for debt service and principal and interest,
yep.
which is a chunk of change. That's like a new school.
Careful.
And then the other one was the river habitat restoration. So we know that we're going to be applying for grants to do these sorts of projects. So I think it's important that we put away some money that we can match them with in the future. And there's going to be a few different sources of funds that we're able to use to do that, like the money in the dam reserve specifically for Montgomery.
Right.
And then I've got a few other areas below. But those are kind of the two new reserve accounts.
So one,
Is there money going in the regular budget for dam, the non-reserve dam?
Yes.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars probably, right?
so
Not hundreds, but tens, definitely tens of thousands.
And for the east dam and all that stuff? I mean, the west dam?
You just,
No one right at the lake?
The Moana
And the west dam are the ones at the lake.
hold the lake in.
Okay, yeah.
yeah, definitely,
two
well,
there.
actually, no, hundreds of thousands for the West Dam, that's a big project. But then the dam budget itself is higher this year because we have a number
Every
of,
time.
we've got 10,000 going to the Montgomery Dam specifically for repointing the granite sluiceway wall. That's kind of like another one that we thought we just need to set money aside for it, even if we don't do it, because there's blocks falling out.
Oh, I know.
So we have to, this is like the first year where we're
So the
gonna.
fish are gonna get in through those little, wiggle their
We
way.
usually have Elver fishermen that come and set up their nets on
Yes,
them. and
yes.
we're sending out Marine Patrol to tell them they can't do that this year.
They can't
because
attach to pilings and
dangerous.
anything to the docks, and it is too dangerous. Though they're not sturdy enough to hold that,
Yeah.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that, not.
It's town
and-
property, so we
And
can
they
say.
Also, can you have them
They're
ask,
attaching to the wall also, which is not good. The Harbor Park wall,
yeah.
not good.
They are also smoking a lot of cigarettes
Oh,
right
really?
there, yeah.
That doesn't,
What's the,
For fishermen.
Yeah, like, and not,
littering and littering a lot.
what's the 5711 for Seabright in the previous page that's added this year?
5711.
2002-4023. It's an FY20 ad.
Oh, that's the debt service.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
all right. Now, but so far, the 54,000 for the lighting is just replacing a number from someplace else in the budget. I'm trying to track in my head the increases.
moving
But
money.
the three that are on, we talked about, there's the dams and the wastewater and river, that's 170,000 up.
So 100, yeah, yep.
40, okay, all right. Just want to keep track. We get to the end, I want to talk about where some of this is coming from, because it's not a net hit to the budget.
Yes.
You know, we may take money from TIF or whatever, it doesn't take a hit to the budget. All right, cool.
I did talk to Dave Bolstridge about looking at the West Dam for possible other strategies and whether we need two dams that are operable, and
Yep.
he was all for looking at it. He
Great.
says we do kind of need the West Dam right now because you can't let enough water out of the East Dam during certain storm events. But that if maybe the East Dam had more capacity to release water, then the West Dam could theoretically be converted over into a non-operable dam.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay,
So,
we'll get to,
yeah.
I'll come around to that. So for capital improvements, the hybrid police cruiser, that's that.
It's
That's the 45?
so
Where are you?
defies the
Sorry.
spirit of what I was trying to do in every possible way. But
Well,
if I
let's-
vote
yeah,
no,
Let
then,
me catch
let's-
up.
Rather than now debate the technical, is
Yeah.
this enough money to cover the options that we may consider? That's what the budget's
here.
about. We're not buying anything, right? Are we?
No, that would,
it sends a strong message because I don't think we should be we don't need that much money to accomplish
Because
what
of-
we.
we don't
He
need a
wants to buy
hybrid.
what does he want to buy now? An SUV.
yeah. It's a
41.
Ford
So they need
suit rated, I don't know, I forget what it's called.
and it's probably the first year of it.
Second year of it. Second year of
It's like all the same arguments that were used against me are now being used because that wasn't one of the options when we were looking last year. There wasn't an SUV, and a lot of it was that they wanted a sedan. And we just had to wait
Well, no,
until,
they wanted something that was spacious enough to accommodate all their equipment.
Like an SUV.
And
I think they talked
Going,
about.
if we go to an SUV, and the idea is fuel savings. So if,
For people too.
I know, when we have a lot of those, and, the Dodge Charger didn't feel all that different to my kids than the Prius does, honestly. I just, if the point is fuel savings, then we should be looking at whether the SUV accomplishes that in comparison to the Charger.
I don't know.
You can't just, it's like saying, I'm going to trade in my non-hybrid small car for a hybrid bus and be like, woo, hybrid technology, yay, environment. But if the overall fuel that's needed is greater, then you've done nothing
know.
positive. Actually,
I don't know
something
what the
negative. So
MPGs are on the various vehicles. I have no idea.
I would think we could
I
spec
thought
it
Randy
out
was,
pretty
I thought his car was getting switched out. And it could be not pursuit rated,
He did
and it
say
could be
that.
that next year his car was up.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And
the admin
that
car.
that doesn't need to be pursuit rated, and he'd be happy driving anything.
That's what he
I'm
said.
pretty sure is a direct quote.
He did say that.
I don't want to put money in the budget that then, the goal of this was not to raise the budget of the police department. Or to raise their fuel consumption by branding it eco-friendly. So I think we need to keep the money the same.
31,000.
I'd rather, a similar goal could be
for a
accomplished by just
hybrid.
not being a new. Yeah, it's about the same for the cost of the hybrid.
This the 31,000 in there from 19, is that for what a Charger cost previously?
Yeah.
Or the SUVs, the Fords?
Charger.
So if we do that, then we're saying that we're accepting
That
the
wasn't
fact that it's
spent.
going to be another Charger.
Wasn't spent, was it?
Yeah, it was.
So when we looked before, it was basically
Day
going to be the
after,
same, the amount of it was like maybe it was $5,000 more for the hybrid, but in a year and a half, you save that much in fuel. So it was going to be,
Interesting.
it wasn't like buying a
Your issue was more of
comfort.
comfort in the
Yep.
cruiser.
Understand that.
The 45 is just the hybrid on its nose. It's not equipped. It's
Oh,
not
that's fully equipped.
fully equipped.
Oh, I
So
hope
the
that price
31,000 is
also-
a fully equipped Dodge Charger.
Yep.
So that car is a $17,000 car stock, the Dodge Charger versus, I mean, it's
Well,
hard
since-
to believe that any car is that
Now that
inexpensive.
we're not going to be able to debate the solution of the car at this
Yeah.
meeting. So we're trying to plug a number in here for eventuality of buying something.
A workable
So
number.
we either, we
Understood.
can put in an average number, we can put in something not committing to anything. But this is a budgetary number. If we underspend a budget, that's good news. If we don't want to overspend the budget, if we can help it.
Yeah,
So
but-
we need to plug a number in here that we think is reasonable for carrying for a new vehicle.
Right. that
And then we
gives-
can evaluate the miles per gallon, we can evaluate whether it's blah, blah, blah. If we underspend, that's great.
But Taylor's point of, we're not committing to another Dodge Charger, and we're not,
Shouldn't be committing, in this meeting, we shouldn't be committing to
we
anything.
should just
We're
create.
committing to a number, to budget, literally, to carry for a new vehicle going forward, whatever it is. Being a little under a hybrid wouldn't kill us. Being a little over a Charger wouldn't kill us, budgeting-wise. So we can just put a number in here we feel comfortable with to carry forward. If we were to agree that the hybrid's the best thing since sliced bread and have to have $4,000 and find it, we can find it. If we get something cheaper, we go under budget, great. But just put a number in here that's reasonable for planning. 31's too low, you're saying 45's too high because we're not committing to the hybrid. Put in $41,000.
We're not committing to the SUV hybrid.
Okay,
I just-
okay,
it's-
well, let's put in like a number of
40.
Yeah.
$40,000 and carry in the budget.
Well, the Goldilocks number is 40,000.
That's fine.
And let's reduce, I guess that happens in a different budget.
Is that okay,
area.
Audra?
This one's just
Sure, I mean,
We just don't want to, 31 sounds low to me, honestly, and that
It does to me
45 is
too.
blah, blah, blah. So if we were to decide to buy the SUV, and if it were 45,000, we can find the $5,000 in the budget to afford that. But to go from 31 to 45,
45.
now you're getting more
Right.
heavy.
Right, and
Were you going to say something, Audra?
I mean, yeah, I guess it's just a matter of what you all want to do and what you think is most important, because they're they're not going to want to drive around in the hybrid.
Sedan,
Sedans.
right.
Well, they could drive less would be another option.
And if
And
they
Randy said
wanna
he
go-
would switch his car out happily.
Yeah, he
I'm just
would.
confused as to where all
I
those
think
ideas
they-
have gone.
What they've decided is that they need another cruiser this year.
SUV hybrid kind of thing, and if that's where they're going to go, and that's what's approved, and finding the 5,000 extra is not difficult.
No, it's not. I mean, we have
I
it
just don't
in
want to get
other
into the debate on which kind of
areas.
car right now in this meeting.
Right.
This is more about setting the stage for how much do we want to continue to see the police budget rise?
That's all part of
That's
that.
a really-
It's all
yeah.
part of it. It's all part of it. It's all part of it. This would increase $9,000 if we go to 40.
Okay, so the next two items, those are public works equipment. So one is a sander for a plow truck, that's the $40,000. And then the other one is a bunch of different equipment. So it's like a snow blower for a loader. Sorry, I've got them written here and they're not showing up on that.
What happened to this, to the idea of the dump truck that was going to go to Public Works? I mean, Parks and Rec. I don't
So
want that to happen.
that's not going to happen. No new dump truck this year because there's a 1 ton and another loader that's going to fall off debt service next year. So I thought next year was a better year to talk about a new dump truck than
That's
this
the
year.
side dump?
The one that's falling off from our debt service?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a side dump.
it's a 1 ton. That's,
It was a one-time hit in FY19,
Okay.
so we paid cash on it, I guess. All right, so that page in total is about $91,000 increase.
we're not done yet.
I know, I'm just on page by page.
All right. Well, so the next part is the
Yeah.
Route 1 South sidewalk.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's an
Right.
additional 35,000.
This is to cover Route 1 south overruns. That
Yes.
total's going to be,
I mean, we're looking at like a $700,000 project
ours is
now.
20%.
We're 12.4% and
Oh.
Rockport's supposed to be
Oh,
7.6.
right,
Lower than
right,
we thought
right, right.
for a minute,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, good, all right.
All right, so the next are the Opera House
Hmm.
improvements.
What's it for?
Sorry, that's the first one.
Is that the bathroom?
Yeah, the first one is the bathroom.
Sink.
It's getting more expensive though, right? When I say, okay, all right,
So
let's
it's
just do
not
it.
just the bathroom.
Okay.
It's not just the bathroom. It's the bathroom as well as the lighting upgrades. So the lighting,
Shake or something when you go in the attic. The stage lights?
the stage lights,
Yeah.
they need to be replaced, I guess, with LED bulbs, and I think there's some other equipment type.
We know which bulbs we're going to use.
So this is upgraded lighting system.
I have no idea.
Like, let's not have it be the same thing that happened here where like they need to get it spec'd out ahead of time.
I don't think that.
Lumens.
This is like Juniper's, like, this is, technically, she has a lot of knowledge of exactly that thing, so. I have no worries about this, yeah.
Lighting system and replacement of bulbs with LEDs. What's the upgraded lighting system mean? What does
That's
that
the
mean?
stage lighting,
They're going to replace it?
yes.
So that leaves noise for a bathroom replacement out of the $30,000.
It's only 10,000 to do the lighting stuff, and then 20 is
20,000
the
for
bathroom, yep.
Much an improvement.
Totally disagree. $20,000 is a huge improvement for a bathroom. Do you know what I could do for $20,000
at
in a
home.
bathroom? Like,
Bathroom.
that's so much.
You can redo your whole bathroom for $20,000 at home, but I don't think you can do it here.
We do a
Have you
kitchen
seen
for
it?
that
There's
much.
not that much room there to even, I mean,
don't, that's
only
why I
so much you
don't,
can
that's why I
do.
don't think it should be
Mike,
repaired.
it's like, where are we gonna go
Because
with this?
it's not a very good use of funds for that bathroom up on the third floor. But that's just my,
I've started to come around.
Is it cosmetic?
moderately on-
No.
No.
no, it's,
I haven't been up there in a while.
Yay stuff.
it's not user-friendly, it's too tight.
Functionality, it's,
So like going to the
So
bathroom.
it kind of
in the
needs to be
closet.
done.
It's fine for me. No, I mean, I've been fighting this for 2 years, but,
Matt,
but I think that compromise is important and it's important to other people, so.
Well, and this note
20,000,
saying,
no more than 20,000 though.
been trying to track the dollar increases, and this note on this one says would be offset with TIF. But But it
There's
doesn't
only so
really
much
make
you
any
can do.
difference if we offset the whole net increase with TIF or with other funding. It's just offsetting the whole increase if we use TIF funds.
I mean, if you're using TIF funds, it's not hitting your tax, it's having no tax
No, I
impact.
understand, but I'm just saying, I'm tracking, we added 170,000 in debt service, we're adding chunks so far, 91,000 the previous page, we're going to add some chunk here. Whether the TIF applies to this one account is irrelevant. It's a total TIF against the total increase.
Right, right, and we'll go over that
All right,
at
cool.
the end.
Which stuff is TIF, can we use
Well, no, the
TIF?
footnote on the page here is
Because we'll have to,
under
but
3,004 new.
this is one that I'm proposing as part reserve account for the Opera House and then part TIF revenue.
The footnotes don't say that.
They do in the revenue section. Oh, actually, no, they do. They're just far down.
Yeah, this is the next page. Go ahead.
So the next one, assessing.
They do,
What?
in the notes on the, of
Doesn't
the,
say reserve, it says TIF.
will offset with use of downtown, I'm on
The Opera
building
House-
repairs.
Opera House says TIF and not reserve.
Set with TIF funds, which means reserve is the primary and offset by TIF.
Because TIF's not really a reserve
I
fund.
know that.
Yeah.
I know.
So I just wrote TIF. Okay,
In the
so-
notes, it says down here, I don't think you're looking at the same thing I am.
I am.
Okay.
On the
All
next
right,
page.
so for the assessing software
Mm-hmm.
upgrade, that's Vision 8 or whatever it is. So that we can also offset with IT reserve funds that we have,
Mm-hmm.
so that, that's not going to be any.
I see the vision cards are showing up now in the assessing database. I was
changed that.
thrilled.
Isn't that great?
Yeah,
I
you'll be
noticed that
happy.
the other
It's
day.
in,
I love Vision.
it's now, if you go into our
I
thing,
love it.
the vision cards are publicly
Are they
available now.
really? Ooh, yeah.
But I don't know if you can go to the vision site and select Camden, but you go into our site and,
Backdoor.
exactly.
The access road?
So the
Thank you,
access
that's
road, we
exciting.
just got the grant, so the 65 would be our share of that project.
One-time hit?
Everybody hear the exciting news about the grant?
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
$95,000 DEP.
DEP grant.
For the Snowball Access Road,
access
for
road.
fish passage.
Culvert.
Where that culvert is?
Excellent.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well done.
The
That's great.
65 is a one-time
Passage
hit.
to where?
to the streams. They need
Tyler,
like, so
doesn't
they're
matter.
they're in Hosmer
They're gonna
Pond,
start skiing.
and they need to be able to get out into like the.
Like that
'cause-
brook there?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they
Okay.
want to spawn
spawn.
in the rocky places, and then they go back in the lake habitat
I'm
for,
with you now.
but it's pretty awesome, because if you calculate, Audra's already gotten more grants than we've paid her in salary.
Oh, man.
So we set the bar
You're a development director now.
in for next year.
Pretty awesome, she just does this little thing, just this little stuff on the side, and all of a sudden, she's gotten us more money than we've spent on her,
great.
so.
Nice work.
Whew. All right. So the seawall, that's really I feel towards that one very much like the reserve money that we put away.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to put it in here just in case we do decide on some sort of project for this year. But the way that I very much see it is match funding for a grant
Yeah.
project.
This is the Harbor Park wall,
Yes,
which we might get other funding for also.
yes, we certainly.
And if we can, especially if we can make it more environmentally friendly.
Sure.
You can include that in your
Sure.
stump speech.
Sure.
Harbor float? Again, I'm not exactly sure.
These for the town docks?
Yeah, again, I feel like we need a diagram when we're talking
Thank
about
you,
them.
thank
So
you.
we'll even get into it. But we know that we need to replace most of the, unencapsulated polystyrene. So this is just the first year where we're chipping away at that. And we can talk more about specifically which float we're replacing when we have a diagram of the float system.
Right. Standardized language and,
When he tells me which one too, it means nothing.
Standardized language is
because
a
it
big.
changes, the words that are used
Does.
change. And
I feel like we need to name them like officially so that we can all
Well-
know exactly what we're talking about.
definitely
We
a
all have
great
ideas
task
in our
for the
heads of
Harbor
what's what.
Committee.
Be replaced at some
Yeah,
point.
put signs on them, dock number one.
Have to be replaced at some point. This is
Well,
just a
some of them
package.
already have been replaced.
There's about, I heard it's about 30 or 40.
Yeah, there's a lot. All right, so
more
the
than that. Anyway, go ahead.
next are the building repairs for here. So that's, gutters, masonry, window refurbishment. So that's just
Have
kind
we talked about that brick that's falling out?
Planning ahead, or is that stuff that we know needs to be done?
Really need to deal with that.
It needs
a bell.
own account soon.
So that's the,
That brick and all.
That's
of
already
its
been like
friends.
looked at, and 120
Why
is
wouldn't we fix that?
pretty confident that's gonna cover it.
I'm confident.
Okay.
I padded it out a little just in case.
I'm gonna start a blog just about that brick.
That much, huh?
The gate and the I-beams. Yes. So I was saying to Dave, well, what if we only did just what is absolutely necessary for this year? And the gate is like, that'd be like over $200,000 project anyway, so we might as well.
Do the I-beam
once.
Because it's like thousands.
So let's not,
How are you funding this?
I'll
taxpayers.
go through that.
Well, the taxpayers pay for everything, but the 290 is shown as a one-time hit, and that's not being bonded, obviously. It's not being financed.
It is, I'll
It is?
I'll
Okay.
explain
All right.
later.
Can we just not make that the lowest possible thing that it, I mean,
No,
I don't want to have to rob our reserve accounts later because
I've put a lot of cushion on that number.
because I think now would be the time to I think we should look at
Yeah.
whether that's the long-term best solution.
I agree.
I think Dave Wolstridge is on board
While
too.
we're spending all this
In
money.
in general,
we might
that
as
way you
well.
mean?
Yeah, like, we've got most places have, one dam that holds a lake back.
Right.
And since we have two, they did a lot of the reason that they had those that way is because they wanted to power two mills.
Right.
And then they wanted to be able to let more water out of the lake, so they blasted the outlet of the lake so that they could draw it down even lower. And they've now, under no circumstances would we ever want to do that. So it's just the goals have changed, and now possibly if, one of the dams were converted to be able to let out more, like the East Dam, if that could let out more water during storm events, if the gate were a little bit bigger, perhaps, then we wouldn't need to be able to use the West Dam in the same way. Basically, one of those dams in the long run should have fish passage. And whether it makes sense to keep it like this concrete system, or maybe one of them can be converted so it's just more like a natural stream that naturally doesn't, it would work more like it did before by having a bunch of boulders and stuff, and then
Pools.
right, and then on one side, it would be this is the gate, this is how you draw the lake down, but we wouldn't need to use both sides for that so much.
Okay.
Just, we want to have somebody look at it so that we don't later on say, oh, we just spent $300,000 over here to recreate the status quo, when in the long run, we could have achieved our fish passage solution by doing something similar at the same time. The way this is now, we'll have to pay for it all ourselves. If we can do it in a way that achieves some greater environmental goal, then we can
Grants.
probably use it as matching funds for grants.
Right, okay.
So, anyway.
So,
Thank you.
So that's West Dam, and then Pearl Street, it would be a project from Park to John Street to do all the subsurface infrastructure, so the water company, they'll do all the storm drain work, all the sidewalks will be done, and then
Time to move.
from Park to John.
Park to John.
Are they gonna extend the sidewalks up on Upper Pearl, or just repair what's there?
I think that they're gonna repair what's there,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Boy, that's a chunk of change.
be nice
Yeah,
if they
it's a-
extended them.
It stops at
project.
Applewood.
What happened to the Park Street project?
Rick Bolstrich decided that this was a bigger priority.
Who's Rick
Bolstrich.
Combination
Are we
of-
combining them?
Rick Seidel,
It's a new superhero in town. Rick
Super
Bolstrich.
Public Works sewer director.
For you,
Super Monday.
You might need one.
I
wastewater,
haven't had coffee yet.
Super Monday.
new department.
Calling people Rick Bolstrich.
It's a good combo.
All right.
Rick Seibel and Dave Bolstrich.
Thank you. Sorry.
Really see when I'm driving, I see what he's talking about.
On
And-
Park Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
tough.
it gets really slippery too, because it doesn't drain, and, Like, I've come around. I was like,
It's
I
not
think
the
I get
only
it
one.
now.
It's not the only
No,
one.
when
Yeah,
we were
that's-
having the water encroachment issues, that was what going to Park Street was like. If you want to feel better about your, I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
so I think, yeah, I'm coming around. I didn't see need either, but this winter has.
All right,
Well, I mean, I'm sure Rick would be happy with either one. There's need in either
Yeah,
case.
yeah.
all right.
And then the final is the library HVAC repairs.
Oh,
Bob's favorite.
So anyway.
you know how I feel about that one. Well, it's fine, you can have it in there.
All right, so then
All right.
we'll get to how these are going to be funded / financed.
Oh, great. That's 2 pages down.
Apologies, because this is hard to, like, the narrative part got cut off somehow.
It did?
Yeah, so it was supposed to look like this, but it
Oh.
just gives you the numbers. That's
Oh,
not very
okay,
helpful.
okay, I get it. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so for reserves, I'm proposing we take 20,000 out of we have this TIF reserve that nobody knows exactly why it was created. So I'm
Which one?
proposing if we take 20 out of that and match it with the 15,000 out of the Route 1 South, or the highway TIF, we'd have the 35 that we need to do the match for the Route 1 South pedestrian project.
There's only reflecting 20 here.
What's that?
You're only reflecting 20,000 coming out. What am I
So there's
missing?
20 from that reserve account, and then there's another 15 coming out of the highway TIF.
on
And there's
this
only
list.
15,000 in that highway TIF, because it only generates about $2,000 a year, so it's not a very
So we
lucrative.
have to add 15,000 highway TIF on this line.
Well, no, it's all down here. I've got it all written out down here.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
Okay, that's the narrative's missing, okay.
Sorry about that.
So the use of TIF 15 down here is.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
Yep. Okay, so there's that project,
Mm-hmm.
and then 50,000 out of Opera House reserves.
Mm-hmm.
And then that'll be added to the, another use of TIF, 80,000 for Opera House repairs,
Got it.
then
So that
18,000.
gives a total of 130.
Yep, yep. 18,000
Mm-hmm.
for IT reserves for assessing software.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 88,000 total that we're drawing out of our reserves.
Of the Opera House.
No, all, TIF
Total.
reserve, Opera House reserve, and IT reserve.
But the 18 is just for software.
Yes.
Got it.
Yep. So for the use of the surplus,
See, the total is 88. Okay, got it. Yep.
so I'm proposing 150 and just straight up tax relief, because we've got a pretty healthy surplus. And then 360,000 plus the 290,000 for interfund borrowing. So what we'll be doing, instead of taking out a bond, we'll be paying for it upfront and
With our,
then
with our,
paying
ca-
ourselves
with our
back.
cash, and we will pay it back with no interest.
Right. Interest.
That's going to increase by whatever that bonding, how many years?
Would we do the bond? Oh,
5?
no, for infrastructure projects, we typically do like 10 to 15, even 20. So we would save ourselves, oh man, I've written this all down.
I'm just trying to calculate, if you have a $500, $600, $640,000 inner bond over 20 years,
I can tell
That's-
you exactly how much interest we would be saving.
it's not, that's new to, yeah, I'm trying to just to get the annual payment on that.
We'd save about 170,000.
In total interest.
Interest over, yeah,
Over
total
20 years,
10,
10 years.
yep.
But what would the bond payment be approximately from 640,000? That would be, like 30-something thousand,
Yep,
guessing. I have to calculate it.
yep.
All right.
So that's financing for those projects. And then for the float replacement, which is 50,000,
Yep.
the 65,000 for the access road, and then the 30,000 for the habitat,
All coming out of surplus.
yes,
So 945,000 coming out of surplus.
yep. And then when it comes to TIF, we've got 60,000 for the lease purchase of the parking lot, 50,000 from specifically the highway
Right,
TIF for the
right.
pedestrian project,
Right.
75,000 for the seawall restoration. 80,000 for Opera House repairs. And then 30,000 for the auditorium, which is the lighting upgrades, and then the third floor. So that's a total of 260.
So that's giving us a total opera of 80,000,
80,
50 out of reserves,
yep,
and then 30 here?
yep, yep. So 130,
Yeah. 130?
yep, 130.
Where are you getting 130?
Oh, sorry, 80,
I see 80.
80 plus,
Oh, it's 80, 80, it's 50, 80, and 30,
Yep.
110, 160.
yep.
Okay. So then from the, in total then, from the ads that you've listed here, the only, say this correctly, the only add to taxes is the inter bonding for the $640,000.
That's not an add to taxes because we'd be using the surplus that we already have.
No, you still have to pay the bond back to yourself every year.
We do, yes.
That's going to be a tax hit.
Right, but we're not going to be,
You're not going to be paying
doing
interest on
it this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're not going to do it this year?
No, we wouldn't do it in the first year.
You-
Next year would be the first year we would pay ourselves a debt service payment.
Because, oh, I see.
Hold on, explain to me how that works. If we're borrowing from ourselves, why is it still a hit to taxes?
Because we're paying ourselves
You
back.
have to pay yourself back. You can't take the money out of a bank account, use the excess cash in Camden National Bank, and use it to pay for something, and then without paying it back. We're borrowing from the town
Right, okay.
to pay it back. So every
Interest free,
year,
it's interest
every
free,
year,
so it's
they'll-
gonna be less than it would be.
Every year's
Like a
budget
loan
will
from
have a
mom.
line item for paying ourselves back. Some amount, $30,000, $40,000, whatever it turns out to be.
Give it like a
Just-
loan
just
from
to
your
the general
parents when you're a
fund.
kid or something.
And you don't pay interest on it because we're paying to ourselves. That's just savings, just paying, you don't pay interest on it.
Is there a term for this when we borrow from ourselves?
I call it interbonding, but I don't think there is a term for it.
Interbond?
Interfund borrowing, interbonding.
I don't know the technical term for it.
It's above board and everything.
Oh, yeah, the town used to do it before, but
Yeah.
they had
In that
cash
case.
flow issues as a result, so they stopped doing it.
Yeah, if
Coming
you,
from the surplus?
Yes.
yeah, and if you borrow too much, all of a sudden your day-to-day goes into negative cash flow.
But you don't feel any kind
Careful.
of.
We're keeping with our policy of,
Yes. Yeah.
what is it, 17% or something, or
16.
16.9 or 8?
16.4,
16.4.
Yep.
Nice job.
which is bloody,
And undesignated,
which is bloody conservative.
always.
Like
minimum.
20 or something.
Right, okay. So a lot of room.
We've got a lot of room.
Yeah.
We remember our discussion about the audit thing, how much we have in reserve
Yeah.
net to date.
Yeah.
And I think, I know Audra's discussed with Jody what she feels comfortable with from a cash flow perspective. And I think she's being conservative. I personally wouldn't have any problem with them going beyond the 600 and something thousand dollars at all. I wouldn't, but they're being conservative.
And we won't be able to do these projects, like, from a cash flow perspective, one will have to happen kind of in the fall and one will have to happen in the spring.
Once taxes are paid.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But we can make it work.
I mean, you know, because the alternative is to, let me think,
We'd bond them.
but
And then we're paying interest.
when you're going to pay some, yeah. The only difference is you'll pay interest on the bond, whatever
Right.
that adds up to over 10 years.
Yep.
That's a chunk of change. And the funds are sitting in the bank, you know, earning some limited interest anyway, because they're not in investment accounts. They're in savings accounts. So net that's the only increase I see is just the interbonding cost per year.
So it'll be the interbonding and then some of that equipment that we talked about. That's
Yeah, that's
purely,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
We're purely funding it, not
And-
financing.
Works for me.
So I guess, is anybody disappointed about what they see or don't see?
Just one line item.
Like the look on your face right now.
No, this is the time. I want to hear it now because
I've
I
already,
still have time
I've
to change it, you know?
already discussed my feelings about the library thing, and we can
Yeah.
do that up later.
I
but-
mean, yeah, I feel really strongly about that, where,
So do I.
but some things I feel like
And
I've said
We can always.
so
deal with-
much that,
Yeah.
Have we talked about having like a workshop with them, or is that not I mean, with
We
the,
did talk
with
about
the
it one
board,
time.
or
We did talk about it one time.
to talk
But, I
about the
mean,
working relationship as much as anything.
it just seems to me, Audrey, you want us to go
Who?
through Budget Committee. Is that what you
Library.
want, right? To take the 40,000 through Budget Committee on the
I,
library?
not necessarily. I mean, if you think that this is better served as a conversation with the
I
Board
think
of
it-
Trustees beforehand.
I think it is.
I don't know why it's going in, I don't know.
I would agree.
Just
I would
because the
agree.
library wants it in there.
Well, it's fundamentally, it's a change.
It's coming as a recommendation from,
Yeah, I'm strong, I feel strongly it should not be in this
Kinda does
budget.
feel that way.
Is what?
What's precedent?
Because I put it in, it is like a recommendation from me.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to do that. And I just think it's opening up a huge door. And I think before you open that door up in an open debate, we should probably have a discussion with the library first. Because this opens the door of saying, if we're going to start paying for repairs to the library, then we want control of the budget, total control of the budget.
Well, and
Because I
that's-
can't turn to taxpayers and say, I'm approving X dollars and Y dollars, and I don't know what their maintenance program is, I don't know what they're
Right.
spending the stuff on. I don't agree with this adult program you're doing, which has had no return whatsoever. I mean,
Right.
I get into places I don't want to go.
Can't responsibly recommend something for them if
Yeah.
we don't have an idea of exactly what's going on, in my
Money's going.
opinion.
Absolutely.
it's like if we're going to put $40,000 in there for the
Because that's on us.
school, like,
I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
Or any of our
Solid
projects,
waste or-
No.
yeah.
We.
well, at least the other,
debated
you
them,
know,
we've
like
weighed
this.
them against other
Right.
things.
it also goes to the town needs, Audra. I think the town has needs we haven't, do we have any money in
Like
for
an
public?
HVAC system.
For example.
This is for,
We get a
this is
twofer?
for the potential of something breaking. We have in town, in our public safety building, we have broken systems. And has that been budgeted this year?
No.
And the HVAC system doesn't work in the public safety building. 5 of the 7 units are busted. It's going to cost a chunk of change to replace those. I
Who
think
knows
we-
what's gonna happen
We
this
have to,
summer.
we have to take care of our town first. That's our I think
And-
that's our responsibility.
I will say, I'm not opposed, I may be one of the great, I'm not opposed to paying for the library. I feel like the library is a part of our town. It's one of our historic buildings, but as we've all sort of said, this money, we recommend it. It kind of goes into the ether to an extent because we don't know exactly what's happening and we're not looking at their budget closely and all of that. And I just think it speaks to having a better working relationship, or a more defined one, I guess.
Why don't-
Center totally torn apart right now. I mean, there's some
a conference
massive,
room.
some kind of
I
big project that's.
I think we're crossing a
been-
bridge we shouldn't cross this
Is it
time.
totally uncharted territory? Like,
Oh, yeah, it's always.
or has
they-
it been done before and
No,
just not?
I mean,
There's some, we spent
All
some money
capital
on a building
improvements have
over there
always been,
before.
yeah.
been
We have done
fundraised.
that. We have done
I
that.
think the only thing that we've actually straight up funded and financed was improvements to Harbor Park.
Was the Harbor Park stuff, was the bond.
Different.
Well, remember, right behind this is an HVAC system they think is failing, and right behind this is the roof thing they think is
$1
failing.
million.
Well, at least, and I think, and then there's a technical issue going on here too, because this is where you get into this thing about warranties. Anybody here have a car that's under warranty right now?
I wish.
So, sorry.
Warranty.
I think we should take it out until we have a discussion with the library.
Yeah, I mean, the feedback that I've gotten from people that have been on the library board for a long time and aren't on now, but helped with the initial fundraising for like the expansion of the library and all these things, is what was told to taxpayers and to donors was that taxpayers weren't going to be on the hook for the long-term cost of that project. So when you go and it's a little bit like the snowball, actually, when you expand something and that increases the operating costs of it, it's like, okay, we're going to fundraise for all the cost of expanding the building, but then taxpayers are going to be on the hook for the long-term
Operating costs.
maintenance. It's not fair. And so it was said that wouldn't be the building costs were going to be part of the endowment and part of their ongoing fundraising. So it just marks a big change. That's why we don't have in our budget
Yes.
anywhere a line for this kind of thing.
Yes.
So it's just, it would be a big change.
Yeah, I think so too, and I just think it's a much broader discussion, because I think if we put it in here now, we're just going to confuse the heck out of the budget committee, and then it's going to come to the select board, and we're going to have this discussion that we've had before, and, if there's and I just feel that it's a huge hurdle to cross right now, so I think we should take it out, unless you all disagree.
No?
I have to say I
I think we'd
don't.
have to, I think we're putting the cart before the
already
horse
did.
in terms of
I
the
think so, too.
conversation.
Hey, no one wants, no one
a
wants to get
governance
that number
change.
down
If
more
we're
than
gonna-
me.
That was, by the way, that wasn't funded by anything either.
No.
And two funding, I had a question about, you just went over the funding. I think you, the 65, because the footnotes weren't there for the Snowball Access Road, that's the 65 that's taken out of, that you're going to use
That-
from, I didn't see the 65.
That is.
That
under
is,
use
oh,
of
it's under surplus, yep, okay.
When will that grant kick in for the access road?
We just need to write up the paperwork with DEP now, and then I'm guessing it'll be reimbursement style grant. So we'll do the project, and then at the very end, they'll reimburse us.
Summer project?
Usually do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, then after that, we'll be looking at replacing the road,
Right.
which is really
Yeah.
not great.
That access road is,
It's bad.
It's
Oh,
begging
this, so
for
this
this.
65 plus the 95, that's for the entire access road and the culvert.
Right.
So, yeah.
Is it just grading the road? Is that all they're gonna do?
I don't know, we might actually be able to put down a sufficient base to be able to pave it,
wow,
so.
yeah.
Then people can go flying in and out of there, and then we'll have to put speed bumps
And I
out.
don't know about like an impermeable, given that an impermeable surface between wetland.
For a roadway? I mean, a lot of times people don't like them because of the oils and stuff from the cars that's going to go into, if there's, what's the adjacent wetland, the park?
Oh, it's
The
all
ball field?
All of it, really. We built like a
probably
road, right?
just, yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, the ball field, basically, after it rains.
okay.
yeah. Kind of like Bog Bridge.
Is there any, yeah, are there any other adds or deletes from you
No
guys?
Just-
Have.
Any other adds or deletes to, we've only deleted one.
Other projects that,
I've just always wanted a water fountain, you know, to be able to get water.
you have asked for that.
And it was like
Village
so
Green?
small last time that it wasn't,
Oh,
it was
you're
supposed to not
serious?
be in this, but then we don't do it because we don't have money for it.
I totally forgot about it.
Oh.
It's more that it wasn't done because it was forgotten.
I
But
think
yeah,
public-
public landing, right? Is that what-
That'd be a great,
public landing would be the place, for
Water
public
bottle.
landing would be the place for
and
that.
the Village Green too.
You could do
Maybe
that.
could be great. We already
increase.
have water for irrigation over
People can
there.
fill up their water
I can get them
bottles.
to allow us
Dollars.
to put it in
But it's
there.
being funded by the chunk of
That
change.
question
at
number
the
one
end.
for the Bach family. Maybe they want to put their
50
name on it.
cents. As long as we don't charge.
Audra, I still,
Like a public drinking cup.
it's, good conscience, I think we should budget something for, maybe it's just for a reserve, but for the public safety building. That is
Oh,
not good.
yes.
That is not good.
It was a mess last year when we were not prepared for that.
I mean, there are other ways of doing it that aren't that expensive, but
HVAC,
it's,
yeah.
you have a system that's just not working very well, not working, period.
Remember what they
sit in their
said
cars.
for each unit?
Oh, yeah, it was,
unit?
it was way expensive. It was, I think it was like
Oh, boy.
15 or something like that. And I don't think it's, I think you go with a heat pump, it's like less than 10.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do it all at once.
Yeah.
But at least we should put something in as a placeholder to say, let's get a couple of years' worth of money and pay for something out there to change it.
Decide about the,
I don't know how much. Let's talk about this one, if we want to first, and two, how much we should put in for the public safety building. It could be a first chunk. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. The whole thing could cost 60 or 80K.
It's 15 per HVAC?
Well,
Is that what it was last
they're,
time?
what I heard was they're proposing to change the current compressors up there on the roof. Big mistake.
And they were something like 12
They're-
grand.
Yeah, they're like 12, 15 each.
Whole thing needs to be replaced, really,
Well,
right?
there's 7 of them need to be replaced. But you could do heat pumps, and heat pumps are
More efficient.
much more efficient.
Expensive.
They heat and cool.
Yep.
And you don't have to rely on the compressors to cool only. That's not the way things are done these days. It's still not going to be cheap, but.
Placeholder amount we'd
Yeah,
like to plug in?
well, if we did it, probably, I mean, by the way, this is also replaceable on a periodic basis. We don't have to replace them all, we replace a few.
Yeah.
So if you did, I don't know, 25K or something like
Yep.
that. Then we don't have to do it if we don't want to do it.
Are we having some kind of conversation about the long-term for the, keeping that running, and so we're not just putting Band-Aids on those HVACs forever?
Well, that's why I suggest that they can decide, but it's a system that's going to be permanent.
Most
The
cost-effective.
building has other problems. It's not the highest quality building in the world, honestly. It's got some issues and needs to be looked at in the long term, but I think this is the biggest one right now.
It is,
I
yeah.
have a Or,
And by
sorry.
the way, there's also an energy improvement when you do this too, so that helps, because heat pumps are much more efficient if they go that route.
I have a random one. In April, when our plastic bag and polystyrene ordinance kicks in, do we have an option for maybe like plant-based biodegradable doggy pickup bags that we can put in our town?
You know, this was actually discussed at Parks and Rec. They just,
We don't want them to be biodegradable because the idea is that they hold in dog poop, which is a contaminant in the
oh,
stormwater system, and the
Oh.
whole point of plastic bags for the dog poop is that it doesn't biodegrade. It's
Right.
so that, and it also doesn't like.
You're thinking if people
apart
don't
in
throw
your
them
hand.
away, if people just leave them somewhere.
They're not supposed to be, and I also think it confuses people into thinking that they can leave them somewhere. They're plastic for a reason, so that you don't get dog poop on your hands.
right.
Okay, I guess what I'm getting at is
Fall
like,
apart in your
I
hand.
think it would be,
And they're not
I don't know. I
environmentally
like the idea
friendly.
of providing something at those public trash cans. I feel like there's gonna be landmines everywhere if we don't.
We do, I think we'll continue to do what we do.
With plastic bags?
Yeah, I
We
mean,
can't,
we
we?
can.
They're not handled.
service
plastic
They're not,
bags.
we're not a store.
We're not a
Public
store and
service
they're not
building.
handled.
Don't we aren't we
Kinda halfway
banned
in
from providing plastic bags, like, as the town for like events and things like that?
No. It's a really complicated ordinance. You have to read it really, really
it was in there.
carefully.
They're like equivalent to the produce bags that you would.
Restaurants aren't even banned from doing it.
Anything that you could think
Yeah, I
of?
thought that we as a town, for certain things,
that-
were,
Yeah, or
Styrofoam.
more or less
so it's just the
anything.
polystyrene.
Yes, unfortunately. Well, I mean, there's a lot
I
of
mean,
infrastructure stuff.
I
think
know
we
what
should
you
do.
mean.
The idea
We
of,
can keep the
Spending
plastic,
enough
so
on
we
the
are
streets.
keeping the plastic bags the way they are.
You know.
I like the idea of
others
forcing
or-
people to
or-
confront the
about
reality
a
of their
big road
decisions
bond
and
and
giving
I
people
think
paper napkins in those to,
It's
you know,
falling apart.
to recognize, but
It isn't just Park
I
Street.
understand,
But that's not a very responsible, you know, that's not
Yes.
that's not what we're really going to do. So what we should really do is the most practical thing and the most environmentally friendly thing. There is no good biodegradable plastic bag alternative that I personally can feel good about pushing on the masses. And
What will dog bags that people use, what do they sell in the market that
Well-
you have in a little plastic container and people carry them on their leases and they put the dog, what are those made out of?
Both. You can
We
get
might even have the
you can
biodegradable
get
ones right now.
biodegradable.
Gradable, supposedly
A lot of them
biodegradable?
are. Ethan,
a commercial composting system, which we don't have anywhere even remotely close.
people do
right.
leave them along the trails, like
Oh, they
Allison
do.
said,
Oh, they
because they
do.
think biodegradable.
Right.
I might as well be using a leaf. I'll just.
That's true.
And it's, you know,
That's very
then you
true.
have the
That's
bag
very,
and the
very
poop.
true.
And
That's
it's
very true.
disgusting.
And then you go to try to pick it up to throw it away when you're doing roadside cleanups, and it like all falls apart because it's biodegradable.
so the bottom line is that we're actually not changing anything with what we.
We are not subject to the ordinance because we are not a store.
I was thinking about the polystyrene.
The
thought-
other things that I think are missing and need to be thought about, maybe not for this year, but going forward, is things like, I was just mentioning to Audra, I think our paving infrastructure is not very good. We're talking about doing one portion of Pearl, it ain't the only one that's got a problem. There's about 3 or 4 that I can mention that we may need to, and we talked about maybe a long-term bond, maybe in the future for bonding some public works, road work.
Did we
That's
talk
one.
about trying to time that with Rockport as well, to save some money on?
Well, but
paving?
our paving, I'm talking about paving Camden streets.
Yeah, no, I know.
You know, there's no cost savings to doing more in the civil world, to contracting for more with another town. You don't get you don't get a savings on more volume of asphalt if you're doing 5 streets.
Okay.
The other thing that I think we're missing long-term is the town buildings have energy conservation opportunities, and we're not doing, this building in particular, and there's money that needs to be thought about in the future there, I think, to improve the footprint of this building and others in this town.
We
That's,
do have money in reserve for energy conservation that we could,
we really need to apply some
We
of
do,
that.
I was going to ask about starting one of those, but, so we do?
we do, yeah. We've got about 26,000 in an energy.
Maybe increase it a little bit.
Conservation
Maybe we
account.
should increase it
Can
a
that be
little bit.
used to do like, if we Need to investigate, say, like, where solar panels can go or things like that.
Absolutely. Why not? But I think it should be
Okay.
increased a little bit.
I didn't realize yeah, why don't we put a little bit more money in there just to,
It's 26 now?
like, I just really want to see what kind of feasibility, what it would take to put solar panels in some of the parking lots, or push back a little bit on some of these things the Energy Committee had looked into before. We're not going to be able to do 100% of that for free, the building evaluations, or
How much do we think?
maybe add 10.
10?
I agree.
Charging stations.
Just, if Mark, as you know, he
Yeah,
must be, he said
was gonna
he
say that
wants the
too.
library funding thing. I told him I got it, but the other four don't agree.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And it's certainly not the last time it will come up. It
oh,
can
no,
go in.
we can, just not closed.
And I'm not opposed to it necessarily either but I just think it needs to be paired, it would have to be paired with some kind of organizational major restructuring.
I feel, too.
Where it would, the library budget would come in under.
I feel like there
The
needs to be
town.
some kind of precedent organization set. I mean, I support the library. I feel like a traitor saying, take that out, but I think we need a better idea of precedent, how this works going forward.
Yeah, that was kind of what I meant when, I think the conversation needs to be had is in terms of like,
Yes.
what's our involvement going to be in control over the
Yeah,
budget
there
before
has to be
we're
a process.
paying for it?
There has to be a
I'm all
process.
for
And so we can
giving the
feel
money
good
if
about
we have the
recommending
conversation
it.
first. And understand where
It's-
it's, you know,
right.
what the
Not
process is.
just a conversation,
Yeah,
but to me, it
26
has to
to
be
36.
an organizational restructuring, bylaw change, because it has to be that the select board starts to look at it more like the snowball.
Yeah, more like a town budget.
Right.
Town department budget, sorry.
Yeah, what happened with the dangerous,
Ice,
no,
that's budget, but,
the paved thing between the upper parking lot of the public safety
Oh, the
building.
walkway.
oh,
I didn't want to put it in this budget because I don't have a good estimate for what that's going to cost yet.
which one else?
Was this-
Which one, are we talking about McKinnick, Washington Street
Yeah.
parking lot?
Yeah.
But we just approved that the other night in
No,
budget.
the public
No.
safety lot, between the upper lot and the
Oh,
lower
sorry,
lot.
sorry, sorry.
One that
sorry,
John
sorry.
French feels is dangerous. I didn't realize
Stairway,
also,
yeah.
there was a major issue there,
That should be closed.
Major issue?
like an injury,
Oh,
I
major
think.
injury there.
Somebody slipped there, I believe, you're correct. But that should be closed off right now.
Yeah, it should be
The
there.
middle one.
It should
'cause
be.
There's two. One
There
by
is?
there's one on the side by the hotel, which is
Oh.
pretty well paved, although it's very slippery right now.
But it's
And then
paved
the-
on a slope, it's not stepped. That's dangerous as heck.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like right now, it's pretty treacherous.
I think both should be closed. Well, I don't know, it's your decision.
It's
but-
like,
Public Works should be throwing salt on it or something, because it doesn't happen.
Yeah, but even then. it's
Even the
dangerous.
other one, though, there's no, I mean, somebody should have to go, if they're going to want to, if they're going to use it, they should have to duck under something that clearly says,
Yeah.
yeah, closed.
right.
I think that was meant to be a drainage initially, wasn't it? And people just happen to use it because it looks like a walkway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Until it's improved, it should be closed.
yeah.
Anything else, Allison, you have to add or subtract?
Not that I can think of right now.
No, not that, and I want to reiterate, especially after getting Mark's text, I want to go on the record and say that I don't feel that we shouldn't fund the library, but I do feel, again, I'll say it again, that we have to have this conversation. And that we just can't throw numbers into our budget, and we just need to have a solid way of making it work, because I do support
Understanding.
the library, and I do embrace them as part of the community.
Agreed.
I think we all feel that way to an extent, or entirely. Of
course.
But,
The town funds about $450,000 a year of their budget,
yeah,
so
we
the town's
fund 48%
commitment
of their budget already.
to the library is, not
Yeah,
on trial here, I wouldn't say.
No,
That we
no,
we
oh, no,
fund
no.
lots
Yeah.
for the
it's
library. It's,
no, it's
do we
not-
want to take it on even more seriously as,
And did they want that?
I don't know. It's just that to the taxpayers, I can't turn to a taxpayer and say I'm approving changes over there because we all love the library, but without controlling the budget. Because there may be programs that we say, no, the taxpayers don't want to pay for that.
Right.
And I'm not going to do that. We can't approve that. And improve the roof and improve the HVAC and all the other things they've talked about.
The
It's a more
operating stuff.
macroscopic
Yeah.
decision.
We are elected and they're not, and it seems
Correct.
like the people, like, so we
Correct.
appoint people to the library board, and so what looks like is that maybe the people that the select board has been appointing, at some point, there's been a shift in philosophy and an idea that fundraising isn't working out anymore, and so now the town needs to, this needs to be taken on more by the town. So really, I mean, it's a result of, we form that board, and so if, we're responsible also for what they're coming up with, and maybe that means that we need to try harder to get some really dynamite fundraisers on that board, or.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know what the answers are, just that we have a fiduciary responsibility to the town. And if somebody came to me and said, show me the agreement and what you pay for a town and what and the library pays for, I don't see it. I don't have it. And I
That's
have
the
to-
thing.
I have to
That's
have
not
that.
being able to
Have to have
articulate
that.
that.
We have, what did we pay, 45% of the library or 55%? 48%, 48% of the library and,
Is that number constant, or does that percentage change? Is it always 48%?
yes,
Yeah, they're
but the base can
It's-
change if their budget goes up.
like 48.
It's been slowly creeping up, and the goal is for, their goal is to get the town to 50%.
Yes.
So it changes, they ask for 20,000 additional every year.
Well, we don't know. It went up by 4,000 last year, I think.
4? I think it was
It went to like 24 last year, I thought.
24,000 up?
Oh, right, yeah,
It went up by like 20%, so it went to 24,000.
Right.
And,
You're right.
Well, I
Yeah.
understand inflation and
and I
things
don't,
cost
I
more,
do
but
support us giving them their budgetary, but I did say in a library board meeting that I think the annual creep may be something people are noticing
well,
Definitely.
to be aware of.
everything being added
Yeah.
to any one of our things, whether it be a snowball or a library, anything, it's just we have to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And there has to be some kind of an agreement as to how that's going to be. And when you get into technical stuff, as I pointed out earlier, it gets more complicated because, you know, I always ask about Snowball, what's our preventative maintenance program? Because if you don't have that, you're going to have bumps along the way. If you don't have that in this building, you're going to have
Right.
that. So anyway, do you have anything else, Jenna?
Nope, that's,
Taylor, do you have anything else? I think I covered this stuff. I don't know, and you added 10,000. I think it's a good idea for the energy kind of thing, because I think there's lots we can do here, lots and lots. It's this building bothers me from an energy perspective. Sorry.
Even
But,
just a more efficient, like thermostat system that.
all the above, the windows, all this stuff needs, the doors, they all need, this waste that goes through this door is huge.
And it's nothing, it's not the door's fault at all. All it needs is to have the strike plate moved in a little bit so that when it closes tightly. We don't need to replace that door or anything like that.
No, I agree with you.
Feel a draft right now.
It's you
There's
will.
like, just isn't closing.
It's the jam, it's just not quite right. It's a little off kilter, building settle. Anyway, I think other than that and I think the paving thing of the future, those are the big things that I see, taking care of the infrastructure we have, that is not small.
Right, because there are no, well, we do have those major new sidewalk projects, but the little sidewalks that we were trying to chip away at are not.
It's too difficult because of, when you're doing a sidewalk, you need to get the stormwater infrastructure right.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's just not a lot of good examples of areas where, you know, the stormwater infrastructure and the road itself is fine, but the sidewalk's a mess. So,
you dig into it and you've got
yeah, the more we
ahead.
looked around, and Rick really did try hard to figure out areas where he could just do like a good sidewalk project, but
One of
he's
the
like,
wonderful
everywhere I
things
look.
is, yeah, Rick, I have complete confidence that he did.
Yeah.
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 Went and looked and,
It's just
Mark-
the best
Mark
we
was,
can do is just like a bigger project.
Mark was commenting in public safety building, he likes the idea also.
yeah, oh, good.
Oh, random thing I was thinking about last night again. Because I feel like we've obviously expanded public parking downtown, which is a
Yep.
good thing. I feel like some of it,
I'm responding to
people
the group.
don't, is out of sight. So I wonder if we can do something to increase signage to point people to public parking, like make it really super obvious that,
Yes.
Town
going
Landing,
to need to.
Public Safety Building, behind the mill. When you come into town, that the people know, like, I can go
This is
left,
a-
right,
Looking
straight.
for a place to park?
To
You're
Deb
sorry.
Dodge is the head of the design team that I have to write back to her about. They were asking about doing a signage project to direct more people to the Knox Mill parking lot.
That's a great idea.
But I think
I hate signs, though.
they do.
But great, if they design them, that
Kind
should
of
be
have
good.
fun with
Yeah.
designing a sign like that. That's
Seems
just,
like
Yeah,
a
like
lot of
wayfinding
towns that we
Yeah,
compare to
yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of like busy tourist towns that do it well, as soon as you come into town on the main drag, it's like the name of the parking lot, where, like 0.2 miles, make a left, you've got this option, and this option. I've just been thinking about that since we're losing a few parking spaces down here this summer. That's it.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else.
I found a bunch of historic pictures of that parking area.
I might put more money in the parking budget for that purpose, if that's okay with everyone, because it is to direct people to parking, and I would use TIF to offset it.
Okay with that.
So I'll,
do you have a number in mind? Just,
probably about
Yeah.
$5,000.
I'm liking the live updates from Mark.
I know.
You can tell what the delay is.
I know. I noticed on the screen that there's a little delay. Yeah.
Cool.
You can actually set that to
Well, that
you
said, I guess
last
the
bit.
CIP meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. All right. I'm
He says
hoping
it's
you-
sounding good, though. Because but only because he's not supposed to listen to it loud. Not because he has to hold it up to his ear. Okay, so I'm going to end the live stream now. This will be exciting. Hold on, it hasn't been, well, I shouldn't. So let's see.
Yes.
We can, oh yeah, we could.